Hello and welcome. It is that of the 5th day of October 2019, and it is a Saturday. My name is Derek. All bets trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. I'm going to start this off by stating tonight I am going to release one of the strongest plays I've had in quite some time as far as a setup and probability odds on not only the payout you can get, but the likelihood you're actually going to win. And I got a handful of them, two or three that I love, and a couple that actually. And I'm looking at it more further. I'm thinking, man, if you put these two together, it's very hard to go 0 and 2, and it's gonna not too hard to go 2 and 0. I'll explain tonight. I'm probably around 8 o'clock. That will be in the game between the New England Patriots and the Washington Redskins. I also got a side and total. Lots of fun, but it's not until later tonight. And I mean, that's got to do with cryptos. Well, I mean, if you wager cryptos on it, yeah, I can actually. I mean, it's all about increasing your number, your score of the game, and that's what this trading is. And within technical analysis here, let's just take a look at how this has been playing out. Major support broken in here. Lots of times hit. And then when it breaks it, like most markets do on many occasions, concise, fast move to the next key level, and it almost went through to the two key levels, like this one on the short term. Basically, it ripped through short term levels like anything. Well, what's it done since? Well, we hit this support level down in here. And now that I'm thinking about it, I got some short term Fibonacci that I haven't even looked at recently that I'm going to look at right after this. And here we got this 18 as it is, just hanging onto it like a thread. And as I've been stating within this move, and there's Fibonacci in the 6300 area. I'm not going to show the lines. I've done that 1,000 times or so. And there was Fibonacci up in this low in here as well. So now it's went to the halfway point. It can either be that failed move and go like this. It might even go up and resist it on the bearish setup like that. And it might have just continued going straight down. That didn't happen. And maybe you just do something like this, and it's just going to have some sort of concise move to this level, whether it be fast or slow. And I could see either or happening. Slow meaning, okay, it breaks this support, and then we end up, say, hypothetically, we do go to, say, somewhere near here. And it takes like 4 weeks to get there. That could easily be the place because the fast move, but it could be a one-day event too. And I'm not going to predict either way, but realizing that breaking a key level, concise move to the next level is usually the case. And when you see the inverse of Bitcoin, that's a very strong bullish setup. So on the opposite end, it's a big, strong bearish one. And obviously, you need to see this momentum not only get up to this near high, but mostly in this, like just whatever in this spot. And here, this could happen too, which means any rally attempts to where we came from here, just like I stated, could either be resistance. In this case, could either be support, like this, or it could be that failed breakout on the other side. But it's just the polar opposite, of course. And what I like about doing stuff like this is looking both at the bullish and bearish side at it, especially if you're really strong on bull or bear setups and not on the other. And then you might be able to always see it that way pretty good. So then I think I got some on Huobi that I wanted to see. Okay, I haven't looked at this in days, although I am a little familiar with what we're going to be seeing here on the shorter term. As we can see on the 3 hour term, well, within the Fibonacci, I'm just not going to just happen to doing it at this level. So it looks like that we're going to maybe soon have a pierce below like 79. What we do from there, whether we find support, I don't know. But as we see on the daily, that this thing is pretty much in a cautious signals are there. On the hour term, it's pretty much breaking down right now. Getting down by the lowest level of support in here near 80.55 to about 80.70 ish. Has already had a clear break. So to me, I see that because we're in this level of support, that if we do bounce here, maybe it can come up here, which is nothing too fantastic, but I'm looking for probably that this thing should go down a little bit further since it's just now making this original break on the 18 and this congestion in here. So we'll see. When we look at Bitcoin Cash, which is going to be what I'm going to use to make the wagers on the game between the Patriots and the Redskins. I'll send that, and I'll explain that later tonight. But I don't need to buy it yet, do I? Okay, well, we'll see here. If I think this is going to break out, I'll just buy it. But I'm going to be using that to make the plays on. And on the daily time frame for this is not as really bad as Bitcoin on the, because this is more sideways rather than grinding lower. But again, just this whole going down so fast and just doing not no rallies coming in as it is and just going sideways. I've seen so many cases like this where you go down, the bear flag as they call it, and then just another concise move there after that. Of course, it's been looking like that for a while, and it can continue to look like that, and will continue to look like that as long as it stays within this range. Of course, uh, the longer it stays in the range, the more stronger neutrality becomes, and the more the more likely a breakout over breakdown occurs. But it's just coming down to the 18 as it is in here now. It's uh, you get these bigger size moves when you break a level of this tightness that I see. And because it's not often you get this kind of tightness. You look at this in here. At least it's got more volatility moves. So it's one of those wait and see because it's on monstrous microscopic volatility, and that's kind of scary. Now let's move on to Bitcoin dominance, which is also showing a bearish setup in here, which is with Bitcoin showing bearish signs, it's showing that the altcoins aren't quite as bearish maybe, because what we're seeing in here with this a decent sized move. Okay, so now how's it correct? Well, keep key from this high. We've had this low which resists this support. What's it done within the 18? Well, it's showing weakness on the 18 lows. It hasn't left it yet, but it has been grinding it, and I mean, it can continue to just do this and have those concise moves. It could do that, but um, at the same point, this thing breaking down below here could bring interesting things. And when I talk about reversal of trends, that's stage 4 breaking this level. As the band flattens out, you establish support, come back to the band, and break it down. And if you look at this again on an inverse, it's a percentage from 100. So what I'll do is I'll do 100 subtract this, and you do need a higher subscription service to do this. But if you have, I think it's a third best level for this, you can do math formulas in here basically and divide things with other codes and stuff like that. You can, how fancy you can get with your math, I'm not sure, but you can at least do this. And we can see all the strength here within the 18 average of highs. So there's support, there's flattening band, establish resistance, come back to the band, and just a very bullish setup on this situation here where I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this looks like we're going to be filling some of this empty space in here. At least to me, that's what looks probable. Let's go on to some altcoins, starting off with HBAR, Hedera hash graph, available on Bittrex. Just looking at this hourly setup, and there's not much longer term to go with, but okay, so we've supported where we came from, and what have we been doing since here? Well, staying within this rising 18 average of highs and around 508 breakout. So there's the two stages. One, as it's breaking out of the 18 average of highs, this thing is very, very, very live when you see it trading and holding at 508, 509. But even more so when it gets above 5 1/4. As this level coincides in here, it coincides with this pierce above, and it coincides in here. And the only history before that was its down move that it started with like this. But I think it's got a nice little setup, so I'm bringing it up. Let's move on to Sky, multiple time frames, starting with the monthly, which has had every month pretty much going down. Maybe at some point it'll go up, maybe it won't, but we'll see. Weekly chart, resisting it every time, nothing bearish there. When we look at this on, say, a daily, this is where it gets a little interesting now. As we have had this little decline, and there's more to it, but we don't need to. We need to see now where do we stand from where we go in here. Well, after having all of this flattening out type of stuff, nonsense or sense, established resistance, all this stuff, all the strength that it's had amongst the 18, yesterday's session have an exitation of the 18 average of highs and then continued follow through there. So that's pretty interesting. Let me just try to see the best that I can as far as drawing the 18 over the 18 average of highs. That wasn't that good. Let me try it again. A bit better. And I'm putting that on there because now I'm going to be looking at other time frames. So amongst the 18-hour time, or the 8-hour time frame rather, there we can see this move getting from to this area. It's exitation in here up to this level. So now when you get to this, okay, this to me is almost as probable when I see this of having a nice move above as it is coming back to where we came from in here as well. But obviously, when I see a move like this, I see it's probably stating it wants to do it either way, either come back and go there or just go there now. But if it does come back, I'm always going to be looking for where we came from, 6470 area, and the 18 average towards that. We can see this little line in here represents the 18 average of highs on the daily term. On the 3-hour chart, this whole battle in here was doing that. So on the more, you can see on the more longer term, when we had this going on, it was resisting, breaking out above here, but resisting a more longer term level, and then supporting short term. And then both on this situation, it was getting above both 18 average of highs at the same time, trying to establish a bullish rally both for the short term and long term at the same time, or for the time frame 8 times longer than this, with the 3 versus the day. So in the situation in here, the comeback to support in here is doing so at both 18 averages, and exitation on both in here as well, which brings it to an interesting situation. So from this move, this grinding like this in here, this tells you, I mean, this could be areas near the top, but this could be very live where we could have superior gains coming there after the fact after that. And then maybe these markets are manipulated and they go up like 340%, meaning that's because the only way they can go up that way is because they are. And maybe they don't. But what they're going to do is what they're going to do. And all I'm going to do is react to the situation, and that would be that. So let's take a look at this on the single hour term. We can see how it's been holding this move in here, have this rally here at 1 o'clock in the morning. Your price correction now is just back, and it's staying in that area it didn't spend much time at. So in market psychology, you have situations where you go to a level, obviously I haven't seen it in here like forever or a long time kind of deal, whether it's high or low. And then you pull back, to deep pullback. So you have this big line. Then you get back to there the next time. What I always look for, what I usually often see, is how it just stays there for a good period of time, where last time it spent like no time. Thus, you expect this area here, short term, to be support. We haven't tested that area yet, it looks like. And I haven't looked at the 15 or the 4. I don't need to really look at the 4, I think. But let's just take a look at this on the 15. Yeah, it hasn't really came back to this area where it came from. But short term, every time we see in here, get it above the 18, beautiful move, correct through time, and then just pop it. I mean, this move here, I guess I'm going to have to see this short term, because you either had to have your orders in here or you had to be quick in time, and I'm going to see how much time you had. There was big volume that came in, of course, in here during this play. Then you had the sideways reaction, exitation of the 18, and a concise move. Took a decent amount of time, but got back to where we came from. And of course, just the consolidating in there. So let's just go ahead and see this on the 1. So here we can see, so that first point that I was bringing up, where you spend like time where you didn't spend much before, we can see here this little bit of time versus this lot amount of time. A lot, like not a lot, but you get the idea. And from this move, how much time did you have for it? It was a 3-minute move. You didn't have much time at all. So either you had to be that damn fast, or you had to have your orders work for you to get anything of this small intraday move. But again, on the daily, the play looks good. And for me, I'm trading this against the Go chain, and it's been having a good bullish setup for a while, but it hasn't broken out yet. It's had a lot of days recently with this level of resistance that it's been entangling with before. It's got all of these higher lows in place, and it hasn't had an 18 average of lows test since in here, which means if it fails this run in here, it's not the end of the world. It means okay, well, now we're at the serious areas of support, which would be in what that would be 18 average of lows, and of course piercing below that is most certainly always acceptable. And you still wait for the breakouts when they happen, but they haven't happened yet. And in the Sky Go ratio, we can see an interesting situation of the failed move, possible breakout. Oh, this looks like a failed breakout. Okay, well now if we see it leaving here, that's just coming back to where we came from, higher lowing it. If we make a higher high, well, that's the other way. We don't see no failed breakdown sides here. But for me, volatility. And in doing so with the 3, well, back on September 21st, not that long ago, it was down to below 40. Then up to like 66. Down to 47. And it looks like Sky's going to overperform Go right here. This is a nice bullish setup as I'm looking at it here. But to me, I'm not. I'm just going to wait and trade the ratio. I just recently sold some of the Sky coin to buy Go. And it's a decent area because if it breaks out from here, mathematically, I'm not supposed to sell until it goes up decently. And most likely, if it breaks out here, you could see this. Who knows? Now, what I do know is that since I've traded this, I have about 8% less Go than I started with. And I have about 50% more Sky than I started with. Nothing too magnificent, but that's nothing. It's not too bad either, given that it's still only a small fraction of a year. For me, the whole point of ratio trading is taking advantage of moves like this, the up and down ones, even the moves like this and this overall, this failed move just like that, and just for the entirety to have something hopefully in a range-bound market and some sort of nice choppy format, and then on the short term when it's having its bull market moves that, again, you have situations like this, which means when you're primarily making one trade, which is selling, you get a few buys along the way as well. Because it's nice to sell at 91 and then buy your way back to 67 and sell it back again to 91. And we'll finish it off with one more, but there's a lot of good bullish setup ones out there. Adam looks pretty good here too. And these lines just represent previous lows. They're not Fibonacci. So we can see this low here represents this line, or the line here represents this low, here, and so on. So we resisted where we came from and then came back to, well, where we that key level. And now we can see for the 5 or so days here, I was playing with the 18 highs. That's a pretty decent setup based on, how are we going to react to the September 30th 17% up move? Well, by doing this. And I kind of see over the last little bit here that it's looking to leave the 18 average in here. I can see on the 3-hour it did so this last night. It's already gotten above this level of resistance and is holding and staying above. That in itself is a very strong setup, or a situate thing right there. So we'll see how it goes. Take care.